Right, to analyze the implications of the recent court judgment reportedly ordering the recall of suspended Senator Natasha to the Red Chamber, we're now joined by a respected legal practitioner and senior advocate of Nigeria, Oba Maduabuchi. Thank you very much for joining us.
It's always a pleasure.
Here we are again. It's looking like we're dealing with another ambiguous, case coming from the court. Is that really what is playing out here? Because you heard the counsel to the Senate there say that the court definitively, said that the Senate has a right to discipline her members.
Yes.
I doubt very much if that's in question. The issue is, did the Senate rule that Akpoti-Uduaghan can or should be recalled? And the apology that the court, asks for, is it to the court or to the Senate? Give us some clarity, please.
Well, now, you see, let me put it this way. The court itself contradicted itself.
Right. In what way?
Now, the court said there is no limit contained in the rules and regulations of the Senate as to how long you can suspend somebody. That is part of the judgment of the court. If there is no limit in the legislation, the court is not a legislator. The business of the court is to interpret the law as it is, no matter the hardship it will give anybody. But you interpret it as it is. You yourself have said it has no limit. It is left completely at the discretion of the Senate. Then how can you now introduce a limit and decide that it is excessive? It's not your business.
6 months is excessive.
It's not the business of the court. The most my Lord could have done at that point was to recommend an amendment. So, in my very, very
an amendment to what now? Sorry.
To the rules.
Yes,
setting a limit.
Right.
But the court cannot find that there's no limit set. And then you turn around and say it's excessive. What did it exceed? When you have said it does not have a limit. So that's the first thing I fault. But the court clearly said it is excessive, go back to your work. So she's supposed to come back immediately. But then the Senate says we've not seen a copy of the judgment because they read the judgment in summary form. So we need to see the certified true copy to be sure whether she was ordered to come back immediately or whether there are conditions attached and so on and so forth. So we are still playing, everybody's still playing within the the rules. They're entitled to see the judgment. Natasha is entitled to go back to the Senate. But the Senate must see the judgment, a certified true copy of that, before it can now say, yes, we were ordered to allow her to come back.
So should she resume tomorrow, Tuesday, as she has told her Timin supporters, would she then be in contempt of the court, as the Senate is yet to take a decision following the court's judgment? And then the question about what the court said. This is how it's been interpreted. The court did say that the Senate has the right to discipline its members.
Yes.
It also said it was excessive because it negates a constituency's right to representation.
Yes.
So then, how do we balance that? If the Senate has the right to punish its members, but then 6 months becomes too excessive, how then do we draw the balance between punishing and, the right punishment?
That's why I told you that it is not the business of the court to say it is excessive. If it is excessive only when it exceeds something, it exceeds a limit set by law. There is no limit set by law, as the court itself found.
In other words, 6 months can be very...
It can be 6 months, it can be 1 year. Once they say you have right to suspend, it's like the House of Assembly and impeachment. The House of Assembly is given the power to impeach a governor for gross misconduct. No court can tell a House of Assembly what is gross misconduct. It is the House of Assembly that says you are guilty of gross misconduct. What is gross misconduct? You remember in Enugu they removed the deputy governor because he was rearing poultry. He had a chicken.
Right. And it was timed gross misconduct.
But you did say, so my first leg of my question was, should she resume tomorrow? Will there be a contempt?
The order of a court takes effect immediately it is pronounced.
Even though the Senate hasn't seen the truth.
Yes. It is therefore they ought to have made an effort to have seen it by now.
What about the other leg of her being found guilty of contempt in the satirical apology she placed?
Yes, that one is different from the issue of her
resumption.
Suspension, yes.
Okay.
Because that one, the court made an order. See, apologize for so and so. And
for nobody
should speak on this
apologize
issue.
To who specifically? Is it to the court?
It is to the Senate,
is it to the
not
Senate?
to the court. What's the court's business?
Did the court clearly, unambiguously state that Natasha Akpoti should apologize
to the Senate?
To the Senate.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All
so
right.
You have to apologize to the Senate. Then in fact, to Akpabio. Now, in trying to apologize, she became satirical.
Okay, now, if she does go ahead, if she resumes tomorrow without
very big if.
Without, number one, without apologizing, would she be in
no,
contempt?
that has nothing to do with resumption.
Okay, it has nothing to do with that.
No.
Okay, now, is it possible, because we're hearing from the Senate lawyer that the court did not order Natasha Akpoti's recall from suspension?
No, it's not true.
It's not true.
Yeah.
Okay.
The judge was clear. He said this thing is excessive. The people are being denied representation. Go back to your work.
So is it safe to say that maybe because the Senate has not seen the CTC, so they are open to all kinds of guesswork or conjecture or what exactly is playing out when the Senate lawyer says you've not been granted leave, to resume from suspension? Then again, can a judge sitting in a court actually make a statement or declaration that is not backed by the force of law? Is it possible?
No, it's not possible.
Right.
Any pronouncement you make, any declaration you make must be based upon a right given by a law. You can't make a declaration. Declarations are declaring rights granted by law. It is a specific proceeding. When we say declaration, it's not say I'm declaring for PDP. No, it is an order of court declaring the rights attendant to a person under a given circumstance.
Not a suggestion.
No.
So when the court says, the 6-month suspension is excessive,
it means that it's excessive.
Okay.
On
the flip side, I asked you about the senator's side of the story, saying she would resume tomorrow regardless. Let me ask you on the Senate side.
But let me come in to say that if she comes, she must be given access by the sergeant at arms, who will say no because I've not seen the judgment.
Okay, so that can happen.
That can happen to her.
Okay, because
but she has the right to go back.
To go there.
But the man also has the right to say, I need to see the judgment.
It does look like a quagmire if she can go there but still be stopped.
Yes.
Because I wanted to ask you, we've also been hearing from the Senate spokesperson, Senator Adara Modu, who said that she would not be reinstated until she complies with the court's directive, which includes the apology in the publications, national dailies, to the Senate and the Senate president. Now, could that be interpreted as a sort of defiance of the judiciary and the judgment?
No. You see, like I said, there are two issues. You did something that is wrong. Go back to work, but apologize. The court, the first thing you must realize about the court is certainty. Once the judgment loses that trait of certainty, it becomes, that's why we are here. Because there are some things that they were not, and that's what judges try to avoid.
But it's beginning to look like a constant. I mean, whether it's politics or whether it's the Senate trying to establish its authority on its members, there is no clarity in judgment coming out from our courts.
Yes.
Even when
why
it's
is
the
that
Supreme
so?
Court that actually, gives judgment.
Yes, I mean that was how we threw ourselves into the River State quagmire. Because of a passing statement by a Supreme Court judge, we ended up state of emergency.
Now you take me back to that question. I'll let you land. But when you say a passing statement,
yes, that's what we call obiter.
Okay.
It's not part of the judgment of the court.
So it's not backed by the force of law.
No.
That was the question I asked
yes.
earlier. That is it even possible that a judge can actually make a statement?
That is what we call obiter dictum.
Right.
You just make a passing remark.
Should we?
That has weight.
Are we likely
Yes.
to return? Are any of the parties likely to return to the court for clarity before we can find a resolution to this? Because the Senate seems, defiant to say, until, even though you have explained that there are two separate cases,
Yes.
the Senate seems to be standing on the ground that she needs to apologize because the court says she should apologize and pay a fine. If she doesn't do that, she would not be reinstated. And in fact, it's not automatic. He said the Senate will meet and then take a decision after she had paid the fine and apologized. But you're saying that's a different case from her suspension.
Yes.
On the other hand, Senator Natasha says, I will resume tomorrow. So how do we solve this? We are most likely to see a rancorous Senate tomorrow if she does go there and she's stopped.
You see, let me again explain it. That woman is entitled to go back to her work. Senators are not bailiffs. The people that implement judgments of court are bailiffs. If Natasha has flouted the order of a court, they have able lawyers. I saw my friend's son, J.B. Daudwese, his son, Paul B. He is part of the lawyers. Yeah. They know what to do. If she flouts the order of the court, you don't do it by doing your own recklessness. You file Form 48, then Form 49.
What?
48 is take notice that unless you do what the court has asked you to do, you are liable to be held. That's 48. Then 49 is you now ask the court to punish. Not that the woman wants to call you, restrain her. But if you don't have the judgment, if I were Natasha, if I'm going there tomorrow, I have a copy of the judgment.
Fantastic.
Simple.
Distinguished Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Oba Maduabuchi, thank you very much for joining us.
It's always a pleasure.
On Newsnight as well.